On behalf of the Grandview of Ellington and the members of the organizing committee, let me welcome you to the 7th annual Chautauqua County Farmer-Neighbor Dinner. My name is Dennis Webster, and I'm delighted to be back as the MC for this year's event. The Farmer-Neighbor Dinner is a celebration of agriculture, its deep roots in our community, the tenacity and resilience of its practitioners, its extraordinary contribution to the economy and our way of life here, the vitality and excitement of new ideas to advance the industry in the 21st century, and much more. And it is the opportunity to enjoy a fine meal, expertly prepared using locally generated foodstuffs. I must tell you, I have been thinking about this moment for months, and I'll tell you why. Sheila, my wife, is in the audience with us. On the weekend, she makes breakfast at home, and I have been looking for weeks, Saturday and Sunday, at this container. Happens to come from Land O'Lakes, and a sentence on the back impresses me every time I read it. When farmers win, we all win. I like the feel of that because it reminds me of the importance of agriculture as an essential industry that somebody has to do. And somebody has to be successful at it, or where would the rest of us be? More on that later in the evening as time permits. But right now, the Chautauqua County Dairy Ambassadors, Sadie Stewart, along with dairy promoters Paige Winton and Wyatt Winton, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is at the far end of the hall. Please stand as you are able.
Come over here. Come on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
The Farmer-Neighbor Dinner offers all of us, whether we are in farming or not, the opportunity to learn more about the depth, breadth, and history of agriculture in this region. Assisting us in that regard tonight are Dennis and Laura LaMonica of Panama Bee Farm and Honey Company. They are deeply invested in bees and making honey, and deeply invested in promoting beekeeping as an avocation. They also have a keen interest in the history of beekeeping in Chautauqua County. Laura is currently the president of the Chautauqua County Beekeepers Association, a distinguished organization that dates back to 1870. Please welcome Dennis and Laura LaMonica.
Hello to everyone. Good afternoon. Just so there's no misunderstanding, this is Laura and I'm Dennis. We're very pleased that we were asked to speak here about a part of agriculture in Chautauqua County that literally has been flying under the radar, and that's beekeeping. So Chautauqua County has a very rich history in beekeeping, and Laura's going to speak about that in a few minutes. In the beekeeping world, there are beekeepers who have bees to do pollination. There are beekeepers who produce honey. I guess the people that do pollination are stuck with the honey production too. We are honey producers. We don't do any pollination. We have approximately 40 hives. They're in 2 locations in Panama. We don't move them around. There's an interesting fact about beekeeping, an agricultural fact. You don't need a lot of acreage to keep bees. And on behalf of our business and every other beekeeper in Chautauqua County, we would like to thank each and every one of you for supporting us with your land. With 40 colonies were classified as a sideline beekeeper, and a small sideline beekeeper at that. And even though our business is self-sustaining and does provide us with a bit of an income, we've been keeping bees long enough that we know there is some truth to the old question about beekeeping. How do you become a rich beekeeper? You start out by being a very rich beekeeper. As far as we know, we're also just puffing our own sail a little bit. We're the only New York Cronin certified beekeeper, honey producer in Chautauqua County. Our business has rewarded us with a lot of opportunities, and not the least of which is meeting other people, other beekeepers. It's been by far the most rewarding part of beekeeping. Laura can't say no to anything, and so she's gotten us involved with some research projects with Cornell University, the Bee Lab at Cornell, with New York Bee Wellness. We've provided some seminars at the Audubon, Introduction to Beekeeping, and also with the LEAF program. And along with Miss Never Say No, Laura, that's why we're standing here today. Laura's going to speak here a little bit about the history of beekeeping in Chautauqua County. It's really fascinating.
Thank you. Now you know who has the humor in the family. But I wanted to start by saying that whenever I'm introduced as a beekeeper, I'm always surprised by the number of people who have a story to tell or a memory about somebody in their family who was a beekeeper, and it's generally a very memorable part of a childhood or upbringing. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask, if you've had a beekeeper in your family history, would you please raise your hand? And you may have to think a minute, maybe it's an uncle or a grandparent or somebody, but I mean, thank you. So there's quite a number of you, and I'm not surprised, because beekeeping is, first of all, it's a very, very, very old form of farming and agriculture. And from the time of the very earliest settlers, colonies of bees were very commonly kept on farms and homesteads. If you'll bear with me a second, I need to do a little beekeeping history here before we arrive at Chautauqua County specifically. But just a couple of colonies could supply a farm or a homestead with enough honey and beeswax for their own use, and if they were very lucky, they could squeak out a little extra for sale as a small cottage industry, and much the way you'd sell eggs, for example, for egg money. But because of the way bees were kept, up until about 1850, it wasn't practical to produce large amounts of surplus honey for sale as a market commodity. So, and that was because the manner in which bees were kept required that, generally speaking, you had to be very disruptive or kill a lot of bees and crush the comb in order to harvest the honey. So it wasn't a very sustainable business model, as we would say. But around 1850, things changed in the beekeeping world. And that was because scientists, very careful scientific observation of bees resulted in some innovations in beekeeping equipment itself that meant that people could keep bees and manage colonies and collect honey without disrupting and destroying the colony in the process. And this is the kind of hive that you would recognize today. It's called a removable frame hive. If you've seen pictures of beekeepers, contemporary beekeepers, you often see them raising a frame of bees or a frame of honey out of a box. So in that process, we can handle the frames, return them to the colony, and allow them to continue and thrive another year. So that's the beekeeping part of that, the nuts and bolts. Because of the removable frame and some very industrious and innovative beekeepers in central New York, New York entered what was considered a golden age of beekeeping. It was the epicenter of this golden age was central New York, because that's where those innovative beekeepers were who were developing the industry of honey production. But it was also because the forage in New York State is exceptional for honeybees. The forage is, of course, the sources of nectar and pollen. Sweet clover, basswood, help me think, goldenrod. There's all kinds of delicious things for honeybees in New York. Buckwheat, which isn't planted much anymore, but was a mainstay for years. So New York, central New York was an epicenter. They had good transportation, good forage, and some very industrious and innovative and motivated beekeepers. But the rippling effect extended to Chautauqua County and other places throughout the state. And let me tell you what I've learned about Chautauqua County in particular. We know, for example, that there were at least 3 patent holders, individual beekeepers, who designed new improved beehives in order to take advantage of the forage and produce honey in the area. And you may recognize their names. These inventors were Orrin Stoddard of Bustye. I don't know if that's a name. James Beebe of Cassadaga, and an M.S. Snow of Forestville. So if you've been around, you may recognize those names. I brought copies of those patents with me, and they're out at the beekeeper's table if you're interested in looking at the drawings and the descriptions. The W.T. Faulconer Company, which is known today as the Fancher Chair Company, was a major producer of beekeeping equipment, which it manufactured in Faulconer and sold from that location. And of course, to distinguish their product from the woodenware that was being produced by other manufacturers, they called their beekeeping equipment by names that identified it by location. For example, they made a Chautauqua hive, and they made a falcon hive, which was designed specifically for cold weather. It had double walls with an airspace for chaff to insulate against the winter cold. So Chautauqua County was on the map from a very early time. If you believe the advertisements of W.T. Faulconer Company, I don't know this for a fact, but their advertising claimed that they were the largest producer of wooden beekeeping equipment in the country at the turn of the century. They did supply beekeeping equipment for the Pan American Exposition. It was in Buffalo in 1901. They were one of 2 suppliers. And that was a massive exhibition. So just to move along about the association, it's very hard to know, of course, how many beekeepers were in Chautauqua County in 1870, but we know that in January of 1870, there were 30 beekeepers from all parts of the county, every corner of Chautauqua County, that were represented at a meeting in Delanti, which is now Stockton, to establish the Chautauqua County Beekeepers Association. I can't say that every one of those 30 individuals was at the meeting, but many of them were. And I often imagine what traveling to Stockton in January might have been like. I'm not sure how they chose that date and time, place, but there they were. And their purpose was very clear, and they stated, the purpose was meeting together and freely discussing honeybees in order to profit from one another's experiences. And they declared that no better honey is carried to the New York or Chicago markets than the honey from Chautauqua County. So they were marketing, very actively marketing, and I would agree with that assessment today. I think our association would agree with that today. So it appears that that group met annually for many years. Their minutes have been recorded and archived. So I would just tell you, because we're all shivering from the January cold, that their first annual meeting, which was called a convention, was held in September of that year in Mayville. So I'm hoping that the snow wasn't flying in September that year. So just to wrap it up, the Chautauqua County Beekeepers Association continues to meet regularly and for the very same purposes. Our mission, as stated in our incorporation and not-for-profit papers, is to share knowledge and improve skills, to support and encourage beekeepers, I would have both new and old, and to provide community education and outreach. This year we have 80 members. It's a very diverse group. We're both what we call newbies, newcomers, and old-timers. And, some of us have a couple colonies, some of us have dozens of colonies. And members of the group keep bees for a variety of reasons. Dennis and I are honey producers. Other people enjoy having them in their gardens for pollinating, or just the sheer pleasure of working with them. I think that all of us agree that keeping bees is both fascinating and rewarding, and a very valuable use of our time. We have a display here today, and we often have a display at events like the county fair or other community locations. I just want to say that there are several of our members, many of our members are here tonight. Among them are former and current, and I'm suspecting future officers. And if I could, can I put you guys on the spot to stand up and wave? Chautauqua County beekeepers, there they are. Thank you. I ask that because I hope that if you have questions about the association or questions about bees, that it gives you an opportunity to ask someone who's here tonight.
Ask them, not us.
I told you he's the guy with the humor. Okay. And then finally, I'd like to thank the organizers of this dinner tonight. Dennis and I think, have been coming since the original dinner that was held in the Recreation Fellowship Hall in Jamestown. And it's one of our favorite events of the year. We have, as our business has benefited from the support of the Extension, Farm Service Agency, the Soil and Water Conservation, and Farm Credit East over the years, and we're very grateful. They are indeed a bedrock here. And then, as Dennis did, I just want to thank all of you who are our farmers and neighbors, whose careful stewardship of the land is critical for the welfare of our honeybees and for all pollinators. And I think, Dennis, I just found a new slogan for the club. It's, when bees win, we all win. Does that work? Does that work? Thank you.
Couple things, and then we'll get you set for dinner here. First, Debbie Carpenter, where are you? Stand up for a second. Debbie Carpenter is the only owner who has been at the Grandview for all 14 years since it was bought following a bankruptcy. She's put her heart and soul into this building and business, building it to what it is today, and has continued to help new owners to transition into their new venture. This is likely one of her last big events here that she'll be extensively involved in. Debbie, thank you. The new owners just last month, Devin Payne and Nick Kahanick. Devin wanted to stand up for a second. Did you want to say anything, Devin?
Yeah, can I say something real quick? I know everybody's hungry. All that information on bees was really sweet and unbelievable. That was off the head there. First, I want to thank Deb Carpenter. She's an amazing woman, and I just can't thank her enough. She's been a huge, huge part of the success here in the last 14 years and the success going forward. The calendar is booked for next year. It's booking, and we have so many weddings up here and events. It's just been insane. Also, this isn't a mean thing to say, but he wanted me to mention it. Bob has never been the owner. He said I could say that. Next, I want to thank my wife, Nancy Payne. She's been a teacher at Falcon for 22 years. She's been behind me the whole time, which is hard to do. We don't see each other some days, but we still love each other. We just had our 21-year anniversary. I love you. I always say she's the second smartest person I know. I'm the smartest. I'm the one that married her. Next, I want to thank Nick Kahanick, my business partner. I've never been in charge of a bar. I've never ran a bar. I don't own a bar. Now I do. We are now best friends, and we talk every day, multiple times. We have a vision, and we have a vision beyond this year, and we are on the same page on a lot of things, and we're just dialed in. Now I want to thank all of you, all the people that bought tickets, volunteers, vendors, everyone here tonight, so thank you. Next, I want to thank the farmers. And what is the definition of a farmer? A man outstanding in his field. Little twist on words there. There's two meanings there. Hardest working people I know. Without you guys, we couldn't have this event here. Nick and I plan on continuing this event for years to come. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all the farmers for doing this. And now back to Dennis.
The Farmer-Neighbor Committee would like to thank all the farms, businesses, and organizations, as well as individuals who have in one way or another helped to make this event possible tonight. Please, there are many contributors and sponsors. They're listed in your program. Check out the names if you know them. Thank them. We hear that they are, or that we are, as a culture, living through a time of great divisiveness in politics and in the culture in general. Agriculture has the potential to be a great unifier in this time of division. Everybody eats, must eat to survive. That can provide a common ground to build on, to come to an appreciation of each other as human beings, regardless of our differences. Everybody eats, but not everybody cooks. That's why people like Robert Cross of 3 C's Catering are so important to all of us. Here is Robert to tell you what's for dinner.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you all for being here. Everybody on the committee and our staff appreciates every one of you sitting here tonight. We appreciate all of the producers that brought food to us to prepare. We hope that we did it all justice, and all the producers are very happy with what we've done with their products. Appetizers, we roasted the mushrooms and had a little bowl of liver pate, chicken liver pate from Good Grass Farms. And of course the vegetables, the fruit, and the cheese up there. Oh, and the caprese salad, that's something new this year. I hope everyone enjoyed that. For dinner, we're gonna start with chicken, and I did a butter and white wine sauce with some sauteed mushrooms and onions, garlic over it. Pulled pork mac and cheese, which is something a little different this year, and roasted lamb. We roasted the whole lamb again. That's always been a crowd favorite. Meatballs, barbecue meatballs with a maple barbecue sauce over them, and mashed potatoes. We did a red skin garlic herb mashed potatoes, and sweet corn, the tossed salad. Of course, all the ingredients for that are local, and the dinner rolls, both white and wheat. The wheat we made with the honey that was brought to us, so they should be unbelievable also. And then of course for dessert we have peach crisp and mixed berry crisp with local ice cream. So I hope everybody has a great evening. Quick congratulations to all of this evening's award winners, and let's eat.
Thank you, Robert. I would like to call Haley Laramie to the microphone for tonight's invocation. She's from E&E Farms in Clymer and a member of the Farmer-Neighbor Committee. As she comes forward, please take a moment to reflect on those close to us whom we have lost in the last year. Collectively, Chautauqua County Agriculture mourns the loss of Jay Gould. He was an indefatigable advocate for farming in this region. He worked for the Soil and Water Conservation District and spent several years on the Soil and Water Conservation District Board and the Farmland Protection Board, and was a county legislator for 22 years. Jay Gould left us on April 1st of this year.
Good evening, everyone. Some of you may already know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Haley Laramie, It has been an absolute honor for me to be a part of this committee for the past 3 years. Agriculture has always been a driving force in my life, and being that I am a transplant originally from Pennsylvania, this has been an opportunity for me to become involved in this community and form relationships with fellow agriculturalists in the area. For that, I am thankful, which leads me to why I'm standing here. Let's take a moment to bow our heads and pray. Lord, thank you for your continued support of this event, allowing us to honor those with one of the most important roles, but who are often forgotten, the farmer. We thank you for the bountiful harvest that our local producers have graciously offered to share for all to enjoy at tonight's event, and the hands that helped prepare it. Thank you for bringing so many people together for one night to enjoy each other's accomplishments and even make some unexpected connections. Lord, we pray that you bless our farming community with a quality and safe harvest this fall so that they may continue your work. We pray that farmers may be fairly compensated for their tireless efforts, protecting them from the uncertainties of an ever-fluctuating market. Finally, Lord, we'd like to take a moment of silence to remember all those who are no longer with us, but who are watching down from above. The fact that these folks dedicated their lives to the selfless task of feeding the world is truly remarkable and humbling. In God's name we pray, amen.
Thank you. Members of the Farmer-Neighbor Committee and some of the teen ambassadors from Chautauqua County 4-H will guide the tables through the two buffet lines, and we will reconvene here in half an hour or so to continue the rest of the program. Thank you again for coming to the Farmer-Neighbor Dinner. I've been following agricultural news for many decades, 40 at least, and 40 years, 4 decades. And for years and years, every time a new census of agriculture came out, the county with the most number of farms in New York State was Chautauqua. Every 5 years, we had the most number of farms until Steuben got ahead of us. 2007, we had the most at 1,658 individual farms. 2012, we went down to number 2. 2017, we were at number 2, and we are still in second place for the total number of farms in New York State. We have 1,291 as the latest Census of Agriculture report. Steuben County has 1,373. How they got ahead of us, I don't know. But hidden in those figures is something that is very good news, because from 2017 to 2022, the number of farms in Chautauqua County actually went up. That doesn't happen very often, but there are 63 more farms in the count in 2022 than there were in 17. Here's the even better news. Some of that growth came in the very large farms. Most of that growth has come in the very small or smaller farms. So those of you who are starting ventures, beginning ventures, you are contributing a great deal to the strength of Chautauqua County agriculture. In many ways, you are doing things that have not been done here before, or not done in the way you are doing them before, and you are, may I say, building a new foundation for the remainder of this century for agriculture here. So thank you very much for that. Somebody earlier in the evening asked, what is a farmer? I won't repeat that, but I will ask, what is a farm? What is a farm? According to the people who measure it for the Census of Agriculture, if you produce $1,000 or more of agricultural products, produced, sold, or normally would have been sold in a census year, you are a farm. As the awards portion of our program gets underway, please note, in addition to the beautiful display item presented by the Farmer-Neighbor Committee, each of the awardees will also receive commendations from Congressman Nick Langworthy, State Senator George Borrello, and Assemblyman Andy Goodell, all of whom are in attendance tonight or their representatives are in attendance tonight. In some instances, both. Each awardee will also receive a note of congratulations from the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce. And I would like, as we begin here, to have Dave Spann, the District Field Manager for the Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District, join me up front here. You remember my little prop here from earlier in the show, when farmers win, we all win. It's this Land O'Lakes container. Imagine, I suppose if I work at it long enough, I could get this to balance right on top of there. I won't waste your time doing that. But anyway, think about that for a moment while I say this. The Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District's Agricultural Environmental Management Award is going to Stand Fast Farm. Stand Fast Farm is operated by Tim Grant, his wife Rachel, and their son Micah, with help from Tim's brother Randy. From the days of his youth in Fredonia, Tim had wanted to raise beef in the manner of his grandfather George. In 2011, the Grants purchased an abandoned farm on Van Buren Road between the New York State Thruway and Lake Erie near Dunkirk. There they have 130 beef animals and raise pastured poultry, chickens, and turkeys as well. Most of their sales are in the wholesale market. The Grants are a family of deep faith, and it has served them well, as that abandoned farm they acquired more than 10 years ago offered some significant challenges. The land is low, wet, with 2 streams running through it. Beneath the heavy topsoil is an underlayment of impermeable blue clay. Water and manure management proved to be constant concerns, particularly in the winter. Developing an environmentally sound, secure, clean place for the cattle when the ground was not frozen was the most daunting problem. Dan Stewart of the Western New York Crop Management Association was among the first to suggest the Grants consider wood chips as a solution. The Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District worked with the Grants to create paddocks with a dense covering of wood chips. The chips provide the ideal platform for the cattle and for filtration of manure. The chips are periodically scraped off and replaced. The farms also added grass-covered waterways between the paddocks and a riparian buffer to filter runoff. As Tim Grant explained all of this to my brother and me last week when we visited, I looked across the expanse of wood chips and tall grass and said, "You have found the perfect balance between the need to run a successful farm and to care for the environment." Tim said it much more succinctly and poetically when he said, "It's a different kind of beauty." The Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District proudly presents its AEM Award to the Grant family of Stand Fast Farm, Dunkirk.
Prominent side for your farm.
When the pictures are done, I'm going to give the microphone to Tim. Go ahead.
I just want to thank everyone who has helped me along the way. It's definitely the farmer-neighbor. Name of this dinner is true even of anything that we've become. You know, it's a lot of my family and my neighbors who have, you know, helped me when things broke down or just helped me get jobs done that needed to be done that I couldn't do alone. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did. And I do want to give a shout out to Dan Stewart. He's the first one that, I don't know where he is, but anyway, okay, yeah. You know, I had approached Western New York Crop Management because our farm was abandoned because it had such poor drainage, honestly. I think that's why it was abandoned. But Dan, I approached him and he said, you know, I'm kind of out of his wheelhouse of what his normal things are, but he was still willing to look for solutions for me, and he did. And thank you to Dave and the soil and water people who helped finance and helped make it happen. And so we're here because of a lot of different people, so thank you.
If you had occasion to study the minutes for all the meetings of all the major farm organizations in Chautauqua County over the last half century, that would take a little while, you would find familiar names of people who have built and sustained agriculture here over the decades. And if you kept at it long enough, you would be impressed with one name that keeps coming up, keeps reappearing in the minutes. F. Crosscut, Waits Corners Road, Sherman, represented the Chautauqua County Farm Bureau at Lobby Days in Albany. Pleasant View Farm, Sherman, will host Extension's Visit the Farm Day. F.C. Crosscut, to serve on the advisory committee developing the Chautauqua County Farmland Protection Plan. And news headlines. Sherman Farmer, selected as chairman of the Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation Board. Crosscut, appointed farmer representative for the Chautauqua County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board. Meantime, at home, the family maintained a 110-cow dairy with another 100 young stock, made maple syrup, and operated a custom spraying business. And that's not all. The same farmer represented his community in agriculture for 16 years on the Chautauqua County Legislature, 2 of them as chairman, gave 22 years to the school board in Sherman, 35 years to the Mounted Division of the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Department, and he's also a member of the Stanley Hose Fire Company. Through his entire life, this man has been an influential, and may I say, towering presence in Chautauqua County agriculture. The Farmer-Neighbor Committee is honored to present its Friend of Agriculture Award to Fred Crosscut of Sherman. Let me raise the mic for you.
I had a 45-minute speech prepared, and I had a good friend that some of you know, Terry Toy, but I had a bunch of slides, but he couldn't get them in order. But anyways, we'll go ahead. But I feel very humbled. When they told me I was going to get this award, I said, really? You know, truthfully. But it's great to follow the footsteps of Dennis Webster, Clyde Rogers. You know, it's very humbling. And I'm standing before you tonight, and I'm looking at my good friend Alan Peterson, and I don't want to embarrass Dennis Webster. But you know, when Alan and I were kids, he's a little older than I am, we woke up with Doc Webster. And now we've heard Dennis Webster, and I just want to say I'm sure more people will allude to your retirement, but I will make a motion, and I'm sure someone else will second it eventually tonight, that he continues to serve, hopefully, as MC of this great dinner. And it's emotional to me to see Dennis emotional, because that's the great part of agriculture and the things we've done. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, all of you understand this. Where would we be without our wife, our children? And at our table tonight, I was thinking, look at all the kids we've helped educate. And, you know, I don't think any of you out here have got, you understand what I'm saying. And it's so great to be a part of agriculture. I've never had a problem promoting agriculture. I look across the room and I see too many friends to even mention legislature and whatnot. I'm very humbled. I really am. And I really appreciate, you know, being a part of the political. We got a lot done then, you know. And I look at George Barillo, and I'm not surprised where he is. It seemed like when I'm sitting there thinking what to say, he would always come up with something to say. And what can I say with Andy? I remember campaigning in Mayville, and that was kind of a bad time for the Sea Lion. And as we walked up the street, I said, no, Andy, don't argue with him. Just keep following me. You're going to get reelected, all right? Remember that? But anyways, back to the real stuff. I still am honored. Retired dairy farmer. I was blessed, as I said, my family, my friends. And one thing that Dennis did mention in the research with Jim Joy, and I didn't know this, but he came to a meeting one day and he was talking about the frost. And you know how you can tell if a grape bud has been frozen? Not only that Jim got out and looked at the ice on his windshield, and he'll tell you this is true. He went out and he picked the buds off the grapevines, and it was like popcorn. Am I not right, Jim? Yeah, and I didn't know that, Dennis. So in your research, in your book you're going to write eventually, in your memoirs, remember that. But I'm just lucky to be involved in Farm Bureau, and I also am honored to be in Farm Bureau with Traffic Safety Board, because sometimes Sheriff Quattrone does need a little bit of, he needs some education. And he will listen to me, but as he has said before, I know he's here. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because he does, but no, between, Farm Bureau and Sheriff Quattrone and we've got some agricultural things accomplished. We will accomplish some more, and that's one of the mainstreams that I still stay on because I'm involved with traffic safety and farmland protection. And also Farm Bureau and Dick Kimball, and the list goes on, but I won't bore you with all this stuff tonight, but it's really, I'm humbled to get this award, and I owe so many people for what I'm be able to do, and I miss people like Cassie Young, my wife and I, and went there many times, and she had me up once to testify. And of course, anyways, I won't bore you with my rambling on, but I'm really honored, Dennis, to be part. And the one thing I ask before I accept the award, Dennis Webster has got this award before, correct?
Yes.
He did in 2016. Thank you, Dennis.
The story of the Farmer of the Year is a little atypical. Area native Jeff Krieger has an art degree and spent decades in graphic design, illustration, photography, some of that in Chautauqua County, some of it elsewhere. He moved back home for the final time in 1999 and met Karen. She had just purchased 120 acres of unused land on the Open Meadows Road, town of Harmony, with an 1865 house on it. After a couple of years of working to rehabilitate the house and reopen the property, a light came on. An idea was born. Why don't we... Before I finish that question, I should perhaps add that Jeff Krieger spent his formative years in the area of Bemis Point and worked a wide variety of jobs for John Cheney and family on the famous Cheney farm. He had always had a healthy interest in healthy food and concerns about some practices in the commercial meat industry. So the question that emerged was, why don't we raise our own animals on pasture? They began with poultry. Then someone gave them a bull, and they became 100% grass-fed beef farmers as well. The Kriegers will tell you there's no handbook for what they have done. Through a lot of trial and error, they found a way to develop a successful agricultural operation without herbicides, pesticides, growth hormones, antibiotics, or chemical fertilizers. They have strategically planned their expansion to always grow within their means. As for the next step in that process, Jeff recently gave me a tour of their soon-to-be licensed and inspected poultry processing facility, which will allow them to add new and broader markets. As noted in the program for tonight's awards, the Kriegers believe simple is best, and there's nothing better than knowing where your food comes from. The Farm of the Year award goes to the Kriegers, Jeff, Karen, and their daughter Elsa, of Good Grass Farm, Open Meadows Road, town of Harmony.
You're up. My turn to say a few words. This may be one of the first times I've spoken into a microphone. So. As Dennis said earlier in the census information about new farms in Chautauqua County, we're not entirely new, but
We might be one of those 62 small farms or from over the years. We raise poultry, we raise beef, all on pasture, all free from antibiotics, chemical fertilizers, any chemistry at all on our farm. That's the way I want to eat. That's how I want my family to eat. And if anyone else wants to eat that way, come and see us. This is such an honor to receive this award. I've been part of this dinner for every single year it's been in existence. I missed the very first one because I had to be out of town. But I've never missed an event. I love it. They put together a beautiful program, speakers, awards. And Robert, you make great food. And I will second the motion for Dennis to continue being the MC. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
No, just thank you, everyone. It certainly is a labor of love, and this is an honor to receive this. To reiterate what Dennis, the beekeeper, said, you know, the only way to become a rich farmer is to start out very rich, and we certainly did not do that. So it's been very small, slow growth, but steady, and, you know, it's an honor to live in this community and be part of it, raise our daughter here. We don't have a generational farming background, so we're kind of new to it. Even though we've been doing it for 20 years, we still seem like new farmers. So just, you know, thank you. This is an honor for sure.
The story of the winner of the Legacy Producer Award here at the Farmer-Neighbor Dinner this year goes back to the turn of the century. By that I mean the 19th into the 20th century. In the 1890s, Anthony Rosentano came through Ellis Island, emigrating through Italy to the United States. He signed his name. The person who was processing the paperwork saw it a little wrong, and Rosentano became Jericho. Beginning as a farm laborer, Anthony and his wife developed a wide variety of agricultural products using horse and cattle, and they raised a daughter and 4 sons. That daughter, Josephine, and her husband expanded the business into greenhouses and a roadside stand on Route 20 near Fredonia. The family adopted modern agricultural practices. As one of the brothers, John E., took over the business, the focus changed to bulk fruit operations, leaving behind the greenhouses and retail. Enter now a 3rd generation. In 2015, John M. and his wife Colleen bought back the heritage greenhouses and restarted the retail produce business, offering vegetables, flowers, fruits, while maintaining the wholesale business. Now, the operation of the farm is moving to a 4th generation. Derek showed my brother and me the whole immaculate operation one day last week. Clustered along their roadside stand are several state-of-the-art greenhouses, 20 acres of grapes, 40 acres of fruits and vegetables. The family continues a robust wholesale business and offerings every season of the year at their stand on Route 20, near the intersection with Route 39. Over more than a century and 4 generations, a mission has emerged to grow as a team, family and friend-oriented, established in good times and bad, providing wholesome experience and knowledge for all, with fruits and vegetables as byproducts. The Farmer-Neighbor Committee presents its Legacy Producer Award to Jericho Farms, LLC, Route 20, East Main Road, Dunkirk. Derek and I know some other family members may be coming forward.
You're all coming up. Okay. Gotta make sure you get this right.
I was told it was just going to be just me up here, so this is quite a surprise. So, this is my dad, John, my mother, Colleen, my wife, Catherine, and obviously, to be totally honest, we could put more people up here. Well, I mean, my sister-in-law runs the office stuff, and we are just absolutely blown away and honored.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm good.
Anybody else want to say anything about Jericho?
So, killed that intro. But yeah, been in my lifetime it'll be 100 years, and everything from we added the greenhouse like Dennis said, and that we bought that get back when grapes hit a lull, and it was one of those situations. We saw it go up for sale next door, and we were like, why not? Why not do it again? Bring it back, and it was quite an endeavor because a lot of the system there was out of date, structure wasn't good. We spent easily 3 years revamping everything and getting it back to our standard. And the biggest thing, one of my buddies asked me one time, he's like, how are you guys still doing this? And I told him, I don't know. It's crazy sometimes, but I was thinking about it again last night, and one of the things that I think why we're still doing this is, number one, for family and community, but also I think that over the years, our quality, my dad has raised me that our quality should always be the best we can be. And the thing is one of the things my dad taught me when I was younger was, you don't send 60 boxes of zucchini. Send 20, because if that 20 is perfect and immaculate, they'll call back. They'll be knocking on the door for that stuff. And with that said, thank you.
I got to get my prop back here for a moment because, as I mentioned, I was at Jericho Farms just last week with my brother and picked up some cherry tomatoes. And I got to tell you, Derek, they're beautiful, beautiful tomatoes. They eat like candy. I don't have enough here for everybody. But for $1, make your check out to the Farmer-Neighbor Committee. I'd be happy to share them with you. Next up is Lisa Kempesty, and Sadie Stewart is joining her. She will talk about dairies of distinction. Let's give her a round of applause. Everybody knows Lisa from Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here and to shake hands with this wonderful young man. Thank you, Dennis, for everything. So, as Dennis mentioned, my name is Lisa Kempesty. I work with Cornell Cooperative Extension as the dairy and livestock and general agriculture educator. And joining me this evening is Sadie Stewart, our dairy ambassador for Chautauqua County, helping me with this Dairy of Distinction presentation. So, have you seen this colorful Dairy of Distinction sign along the roadside of a dairy farm in Chautauqua County, or even throughout New York State and even Pennsylvania? Established in 1983, the Northeast Dairy Farm Beautification Program recognizes the hard work and dedication of dairy farm owners and operators who have attractive, well-kept farms and promote a positive image of our dairy industry. So Sadie, your family should apply for this. Sadie has a dairy farm with her family over in Kennedy. I was just thinking about that. Farms apply, are judged, and winning farms receive this colorful Dairy of Distinction roadside stand to display at their farmstead. The Dairy of Distinction program is based on the concept that attractive farmsteads enhance consumer confidence in the dairy industry, and the award especially recognizes the hard work and efforts of our dairy farmers. Judging takes place from the roadside in May or June of each year and is based on the condition of the farmstead and livestock. And I do serve as a representative for the New York State Dairy of Distinction program for Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, and Erie counties. And I'm very proud this evening to present 3 Dairy of Distinction milestones to families I have known and worked with throughout my 40-year extension career. So first, we have a farm that has been a Dairy of Distinction for 40 years. 40 years, can you believe it? That farm, I'm sure many of you will recognize, is the Nobles Farm BD LLC in Cherry Creek, New York. Unfortunately, Nelson Nobles and his family are unable to be here this evening, but their farm is located on Route 83 in Sherry Creek, and you will see lots going on at their dairy. A lot of latest technology happening there on their farm. They're currently milking over 1,000 cows and have thousands of acres that they crop. And we're very, very proud of the Nobles family for their 40-year Dairy of Distinction, and we'll be sure to get a sign to them that has a 40 right there in that red barn. So hopefully they will be able to proudly display that very soon. Let's give them another round of applause. There's many individuals tonight in this room that work with Nelson and his family, and there's so much great things happening there with their family farm. A 35-year Dairy of Distinction is McRae Farms, and that is Craig McRae and his family from Route 426 in Clymer. And again, they were unable to be here. They're actually going through some changes, good changes on their farm, and we're tied up this week. And they milk hundreds of dairy cows, and they are currently utilizing the state-of-the-art robotic milking system and do an outstanding job with all their crops there on their farm. So again, let's give a round of applause for the McRae Farms. So now I'm very, very proud to introduce our 15-year Dairy of Distinction. And if I could have the two representatives come forward as I'm introducing them, I would appreciate that, please. And then we'll introduce the rest of your family at the table. So if you could make your way up, gentlemen. Orman Farm, LLC, from Miller Valley Road in Kennedy, New York. So this is Lonnie Orman and his son Dexter. And boy, do I have stories to tell, but we won't get into all of those stories. And before I talk a little bit about their farm and these young people, I would like Tom Orman to please stand at the table. This table, please. So you can stay standing, Tom, if you can, please. So one of the first weeks I arrived in Chautauqua County as the new extension educator, I was from this small dairy farm in southern Erie County, New York. We milked about 50 cows. I was introduced to Tom Orman and his late wife, Joyce. And Tom decided the best thing to get Lisa involved with their farm was to put her on the 3 or 4-wheeler, I think it was a 3-wheeler at the time, and drive me throughout all the pastures. And it was such an honor to meet Tom and his late wife, Joyce, one of the first weeks I was here with Cornell Cooperative Extension. And if you want to hear more about the story, you can talk to Tom. But it was great. So thank you, Tom.
You want to hear the rest of it?
Yes. Yeah. But I have known the Orman family ever since I've stepped foot in Chautauqua County. I'm so proud of that. And this is Lonnie and his wife, Robin. Robin, if you could please stand. Robin. And then I'll ask the rest of the family to stand just to be recognized, please. Alex and her husband. And then Hunter, you must stand. Dexter's friend, Hunter. So back to Lonnie and his son, Dexter. All of Lonnie and Robin's children have been through 4-H over the years here in Chautauqua County, and it's been such a pleasure to know Alex and then her brother Austin, and then of course Dexter here in 4-H. They were outstanding youth and now are outstanding young adults. And Lonnie's wife, I can't say enough about Robin. You're wonderful, Robin. Keep up all that you're doing. And congratulations again on your 15-year Dairy of Distinction. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Dexter to come to the podium to say a few words on behalf of his family.
So I'm not really sure why I'm the one being asked to speak. I mean, it's 15 years, so really that was more my grandfather and my dad and my mom, of course, doing that work. About a little over a year ago, I moved back to the farm. I had spent 2 years down in Texas working on robotics down there. Throughout college, I had wanted to get an internship with AMS Galaxy, because we had installed the robots on the farm. And I decided that's what I wanted to do. Well, they called me up my senior year of college, and I signed on to do that job to move down to Texas. They asked me if I'd stay, and I told them that I had the farm back home, that I wanted to go back home, be with family. And really couldn't do it without them. Learned so much from them. I did not learn public speaking from them.
Wait. You were in 4-H.
Yeah, but that was several years ago, Lisa. So yeah, thanks.
Tell us about the farm.
So now that we're back on the farm, we're milking around 190 cows with 2 AMS Galaxy robots. So each one can handle probably about 120 if we got up to full steam, which we're slowly kind of chugging back up to those numbers. But the beef prices are pretty good right now, so a cow that gives you issues, she doesn't need to stick around too long. But no, we grow our own crops, and we have a few hired hands that help us out a lot, but otherwise we're doing a lot of this work. Yeah.
Excellent job. Thank you, Dexter.
Thank you, Lisa.
Dexter, can I give you a hug? Congratulations. I asked Lonnie if you wanted to say something. This family means so much to me, and I can congratulate them on their 15-year Dairy of Distinction. It really should be like 35 years, but we just didn't get that application filled out. So keep up the great work, everybody. Thank you very much.
Coming to the conclusion of the Farmer-Neighbor Dinner, I was under the impression that some members of the committee wanted to say something before we dismissed. And I know some people will have to go because it's getting late in the evening, but if you can stay, stay. You want to talk about the bounty of, not agriculture in this case, but bounty of door prizes. There is no event that I know of like this one with so many door prizes. So if your name is in and you can stay a few minutes, Cass and I will start drawing and announcing as soon as possible. Do you want to come forward here? Cassie Skulls coming back. On Ted card, too, 2 of the members of the Farmer-Neighbor Committee.
Again, good evening, everybody. As you probably noticed in your flyer there of tonight's activities, I was not in there to plan to speak. And there's basically a reason for that, as you're all aware tonight. Dennis Webster is with us again. We have enough of my old-timer friends here. How many have said to your kids, "You're going to miss me when I'm gone"? We've all said that, right? We've all said that. And Dennis Webster, I was very humbled by the committee to ask to come up tonight and speak about my friend Dennis Webster. Dennis and I have been friends a long time, and when I say you're going to miss me when I'm gone, we can say that about Dennis. But the way I thought about that when I was bouncing around on the tractor the other day, the predecessors before Dennis did the same thing, the Saturday breakfast party, covering all the ag business, covering all the local activities. That's the way Dennis was raised. And he wasn't going to forget that of the past. He didn't forget what was passed behind him. He carried it on. And we appreciate everything that he has done for our community, the community in front of us today. But for me, bouncing around on that tractor the other day, I thought Dennis Webster is the type of man that didn't forget every little person in this community. As you heard him talk today, he went around on his own time to visit every award winner himself. Not asking for us to do that. It's what he does best. To make himself realize of all the little people in this county that makes it a great county. I was at Soil and Water today. I told him I had to come up with something. You can see I'm well prepared because this is all coming from the heart. I said to somebody in Soil and Water today what I wanted to talk about Dennis Webster. He's not covering the quarterback. He's out there covering the kids in the musicals. And right away, one of the girls popped up from the office. He interviewed me when I was a kid at Maple Grove High School. Those kids, those people of the community, that the lives that Mr. Webster has touched is unbelievable and totally unforgettable of what this man has done to our community for his entire time at the radio station. Sheila, I'm glad you're with us tonight. I don't know how you can keep care of this man's schedule with as busy as he was in the past, and I hope you're enjoying it today. But for me, I've known Dennis a long time. We advertised with him on the Saturday breakfast party when I owned Lakeview Gardens. I could go there with the stupidest thing at 8 o'clock in the morning to try to sell. By the time I got back to the flower shop, my girls were selling it. That's because this community cares. The community cares about Dennis, and the community listens to what Dennis has to say. The other day, again, Dennis doing the great job that he does, he came to our committee meeting, wanted to get prepared for tonight. You know, and I told him, Dennis, you're always going to have boots in the agricultural committee because you're always going to be our voice forever. Dennis, we appreciate you very much.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. So I'm Cassie. I'm also on the Farmer-Neighbor Committee. And I have known Dennis since I was in 4-H. And I was very shy, very quiet. Didn't really want to talk to him. But I still talked to him eventually, and we formed a really great relationship. And then I went off to college, and I came back, and I kept in touch with Dennis. And then I got a job at Cooperative Extension. The first person I emailed with my new fancy cornell.edu email was Dennis, to tell him that I finally got to work at the Cooperative Extension and that I was looking forward to working with him again. Dennis and I have been friends for a long time. It's not really a likely friendship, but it's been a great friendship, and I'm super honored to be here to talk about him tonight. And obviously, he has friends in this room of all generations. Also, Dennis, on behalf of the Farm Bureau, we talked about you last night, and they asked me to thank you for everything you've done for our community, and we wanted to let you know how much we appreciate everything you do.
There's a few more things. You're not getting off that easy, Dennis, believe me. You've given too much for us to get off that easy. This man, like I say, unbelievable. I've had so many ideas throughout the years of doing so many things. We've had our Visit the Farm days. We have Meet Your Farmer days. There was one very important day a long time ago. My kids were, at the time, active in 4-H. And for whatever reason, we're not going to go there. Money was cut from the 4-H budget, drastically to nothing. And I owned Lakeview Gardens at the time, and a great man by the name of Bob Cross, who happens to be the father of Robert Cross, was working for me at the time of this loss of money for our kids in 4-H. And Bob said to me, Ted, we need to do something about it. I'm going to tell my son Robert that he's going to host the event at his place, and we're going to raise some money. I took that idea to a few people and kind of got some mixed emotions about being able to do such an event. The next person I called was Mr. Webster. And any time I've called Mr. Webster for anything for this community, he was always there to get that advertisement. And I know darn well tootin' that we didn't pay a dime for it ever. It's hard to get the agriculture community to do advertising and pay for advertising. Dennis realized this. But for some reason, every time this community called for free advertisement, that man was there. So far to the fact that that night, we raised over $45,000 to keep that 4-H program going. Truly unforgettable. As we all know, Dennis lives in West Ellicott. It's kind of tough to have cattle and tractors up in West Ellicott. And many of you may not even know that Dennis does not come from an agricultural background of any kind. But to listen to him talk, he talks like one of us. And it's just great to have him. Dennis, you'll always be our voice. I wanted to present you with a cow, but I didn't think Sheila would appreciate a cow. In the backyard on West Ellicott. But if anybody needs a tractor, Dennis has a tractor for lease, you know. And if we can't rock this place with a standing ovation, the heck with us. Please welcome and thank Dennis Webster.
Thank you very much. And I will make this brief because there are door prizes and people have schedules, and I understand that and respect that. But two things I will say to you. One, a voice is only good if it has a microphone and a transmitter. And all of what I have done, the things that Ted recounted there and touched other parts of the community, could only have been done if I had been, could not have been done if I had not been blessed with the opportunity to speak for 47 years on WJTN. So I'm grateful to the radio station for giving me that opportunity. I could not have done what I did, whatever it was, for that period of time without having a radio station there. I was speaking about be careful what your parents do. Young people in this room, pay attention, because my 1951, 73 years ago, my father got off a bus in Jamestown looking for a job as a radio announcer. He had been a farm broadcaster and done some other things in Vermont and had been fired. He was hired at WJTN. He stayed there for 21 years and then led to, unfortunately, an untimely death at the age of 59 when I was 18. Somehow, as I said to somebody asked me tonight where my passion for agriculture came from. That's it. 6 years later, I found myself doing the same job. And now I have completed the cycle because I have retired from the radio business. That part of me is past. I'm now looking for other things to do, and I often ask my wife or pose a rhetorical question, what do I do with the time that remains? And I'm not sure about that, but I have done what I could do in the radio and will now do something else. But thank you for your attention, your appreciation, and the opportunity to be here and to be emotional with you tonight.